Back once again here on the 1045theteam.com podcast. This is Brady Farkas. Joining me today is Tri-City ValleyCats play-by-play announcer Sam Sigal. Sam, the ValleyCats have won 5 consecutive games. They're out to a whopping 8-game lead in the Stedler Division as we're just past the halfway point of the New York-Penn League season. So I have to ask you, 5 straight wins for the Cats, 28-12 record. Where did it come from, and how are they so good?
Well, the funny thing is, Brady, is that entering last night's game, the Cats had won 4 straight for the 4th time this season. So they've been able to put together these long win streaks. But until last night, they hadn't extended that streak past 5. All 3 previous streaks had halted at 4 games. So it's not like they haven't been able to pile up these wins. It's been rather consistent. But for some reason, yesterday was really the first time they've been able to squeak it through. In a game like that, Tri-City won 12-0. So they got a great pitching performance, and they also are actually 14-0. Extending their top record 4 runs scored in a season. It was the most runs scored in a game for them since 2009. So a great offensive output and a great pitching output.
Yeah, this team seems to be so balanced. They can do it offensively. They play good enough defense, pretty good defense. And then pitching-wise, they've got one of the top pitchers in the league in Troy Scribner. So really, if you had to point to one thing, what is it? Really, just like you said, depth and consistency. It is easy to kind of highlight and showcase Troy. Not only does he lead the league in strikeouts, tied for the league in wins, second in ERA, so he's at the top of all the pitching Triple Crown categories. But last night, getting the start for the Cats was Francis Ramirez, who had struggled in about half his games. He's the one that hadn't really found consistency. Then he actually retired the last 11 batters he faced. A combination of him, Vince Whelan, and then Randall Fant at one point retired 19 straight hitters. So it's the ability for Tri-City to get contributions from all around their pitching staff as well as their hitters. So I would say the main key is just consistency and depth and the ability to plug in guys all over the field. Who's one player that's impressed you on the ValleyCats roster? The ValleyCats have a number of high-prized Astros draft picks. You look at Derek Fisher, number 37 overall. He joined the team late, coming back from the College World Series. He was playing for Virginia. Obviously, they took it down, became the national the national finalist, runner-up, losing to Vanderbilt. A.J. Reed, Golden Spikes winner, basically won every major College Player of the Year award you can win over at the University of Kentucky. Who's been someone that's impressed you so far? I'd say, while it is easy to highlight either Fisher or Reed or J.D. Davis, a third baseman from Cal State Fullerton, who recently got promoted to Quad Cities, but Nick Tanielu, a guy who has played third base and second on the team now in RBIs behind A.J. Reed. Last night he had a 3-run home run, 4 runs batted in. He has actually tied Reed. They both have 25 RBIs. He's a guy, 14th round draft pick out of Washington State. In the draft, that's the kind of era where you're still focused on as a prospect, but you still have to prove yourself. You don't come in with a reputation of an A.J. Reed or a Derek Fisher. But Nick Tanielu has been, in my opinion, their most consistent hitter game after game. Reed was out of the lineup towards last weekend. He was out in Los Angeles receiving the Golden Spikes Award that was nationally televised on SportsCenter. So he receives that. He missed a handful of games with that, and then kind of a little lingering issue. He was back in the lineup last night, though, as the ValleyCats pummeled the Staten Island Yankees 14-0. J.D. Davis, you had mentioned, at 20 RBIs. He got promoted to Quad Cities pretty quickly. How has Ed Romero been able to kind of finagle his lineup and keep the team so hot, knowing there's going to be guys in and out? Well, I think, and the unique start, and we've talked about this before, with the season starting so close to the draft this year, Ed kind of was faced with, I'd say, the dilemma of being able to throw the guys coming in the draft quickly, but he also came up with a bunch of guys coming from extended spring training. So he's really been able to mesh the players he has had, and when guys like A.J. Reed have to miss a game, now his is a more unique situation because it was to go to California to be put on SportsCenter and win the Golden Spikes Award. But guys, whether they're banged up or not, he has the personnel to fill them in. There's players like Terrell Joyce, who had 3 hits yesterday. He came from extended spring training. Ed Romero knows what he has with players like that because he has been coaching them since at least early on in the spring. So he has been able to
mix and match because he has a very good understanding of who he has on his roster.
Now, we talk about these players that are putting up such great stats and now getting more consistent, as you've pointed out. So now we invariably have to ask the question, how long is this team going to be together? How many guys are going to get promoted, in your opinion? Is this the team that's going to stick it out through the New York-Penn League playoff run?
Well, just by judging how short-season teams like this usually operate, J.D. Davis got promoted, and he's been in Quad Cities for about a little bit more than a week. But that was a unique situation. Well, he certainly earned it. He had 5 home runs, had a 10 RBI series right before his promotion. His batting average was around 280, but everything else was just completely solid and dominating. But he really got promoted because of a domino effect in the Astros system, how a player in High A retired. So they had to promote Quad Cities third baseman, and J.D. Davis had to be promoted from there. So while it was a reward, it didn't really seem like a kind of thing like the Astros were making a decision to bump up their draft guys. So in my opinion, we could see players like A.J. Reed, Derek Fisher, the advanced college bats, staying around because usually you want these college hitters to find success early on rather than just moving them along quick as possible. Maybe they could get a reward come late August, but in my opinion, I could really see this lineup staying intact because why wouldn't you want these guys to keep going on their successful track that they're on right now?
Sam, we'll get you out of here on this. Sam Sigal, Tri-City ValleyCats broadcaster, with us today on 1045theteam.com. The ValleyCats 28-12, but the New York-Penn League utilizes the unbalanced schedule. So really you play your whole division pretty much exclusively for the first month of the season. That's how the Cats have opened up an 8-game lead on Connecticut. They haven't seen all the top teams in the league yet or very often. They played the State College Spikes, who are also 28-12. They played them last weekend, took 2 out of 3. They're an affiliate of the Cardinals. The Staten Island Yankees are in right now. They're over 500. The Cats beat them 14-0 yesterday. Haven't seen the Hudson Valley Renegades, who have the best record in the league at 29-11 yet. So how do you think this team matches up to the rest of the teams, to the top teams in the New York-Penn League?
Well, I think the best indicator so far was their matchup against the State College Spikes last weekend. The Spikes came in tied with Hudson Valley with the best overall record in the New York-Penn League. They had a dominating offense, had one of the best, if not the most outstanding hitter in the league so far, Rowan Wick, who has since been promoted up to full season A. But their offense as intimidating as anything the ValleyCats had seen. And Tri-City dropped the first game of the series and then rebounded with 2 very emphatic statement-making kind of victories. And I think that really says they aren't just going to beat up on their teams on their division, which they did really well. As you mentioned, 8-game lead over Connecticut for second place, but the ability to make a statement series win against a team like State College, to me, really says that the ValleyCats will match up nicely with the other teams in the New York-Penn League.
All right, well, that's certainly something for us to follow along here throughout the rest of the summer. Again, just over the halfway point of the year, just over the halfway point in the home schedule. ValleyCats play the Staten Island Yankees again tonight at Joe Bruno Stadium. That game, 7 p.m. And Sam Sigal, ValleyCats broadcaster, thanks for joining us here on 1045theteam.com.
Thank you, Brady. Pleasure as always.